All right. Hello and welcome, everyone. Welcome to Meditation Leadership Training. Before we really get into today's presentation, let's start with a brief meditation. Since it's an event about meditation, we may as well start with a meditation. I hope that you weren't waiting for me to start the meditation, because if you were, then you probably would have missed that it already started. You see, meditation at its core isn't about doing something or following some regimen or some leader. Meditation at its core, the true meaning of meditation, is to take a pause. A pause, a momentary interruption to whatever you were doing right before the pause. So many magical and wonderful things can happen in the pause. You can breathe. You can breathe in a specific manner or in no manner at all. You can reflect, think, visualize. You can be guided in that visualization, or you can just let your mind wander. You can even do something active, like walking, painting, crocheting, woodworking, or you can do nothing at all. There are so many ways to facilitate a pause in our routine, in our days, in our lives. But it's the pause that is the meditation. Nothingness. Nothing. Nothing needs to happen in the pause. You don't need to experience nirvana. You don't need to connect with anything outside of yourself. You don't need to reach enlightenment. Nothing. You don't need to hear from spirit, although you might, but you don't need to. That's not the point. Nothing needs to happen in the pause. The pause is the whole point of meditation. Everything we've asked for here in this human life, in our eternal existence, actually, even before our human incarnation, everything we've asked for is waiting for us. But often, as human beings, we're moving too fast to see it, to realize it, or to welcome it into our lives. However, when we pause, there is the opportunity for those things to find their way into our lives. The insights, the communication with spirit, the fresh ideas, the peace, the release. All of these things can and often do happen as a result of the pause. But the pause and the things that come as a result of the pause are completely separate things. So today we're going to be talking more about the pause and all of the benefits that can happen as a result of pausing. All the meditation basics, meditation one-on-one, if you will. So that's what we're going to be covering today. Let's go ahead and get the screen share started. Just a moment while I get that pulled up. Make sure everyone can see that. There we go. All right. Okay, so for those of you that might be new to Tarot Unicorns and Coffee, and for those of you joining from Awkwardly Zen today, I want to take just a quick moment to introduce myself. I'm Valerie Lewis. I'm a spiritual practitioner. I do this work full time, and I really, truly love what I do. I have my own practice where I provide psychic readings and spiritual coaching and mentorship, and I'm also the founder of Tarot Unicorns and Coffee, a spiritual-based group here on Meetup, where I've hosted hundreds of online events and a few in-person events as well. I truly, truly love what I do. Now, speaking about meditation, back in July of 2021, I went to a meditation leadership training here locally in Kansas City at Unity Temple on the Plaza. I learned a wealth of information, and a lot shifted and expanded for me regarding my view of meditation. I was then invited, after I attended the training, I was then invited to lead in-person meditations once a week at Unity Temple. And I did. I accepted that invitation, and I did that for about 6 months. Every week, my days were on Thursdays. I would go down and lead group meditations. I loved my time there. However, my own group here, Tarot Unicorns and Coffee, and my schedule shifted and started to really amp up. I got busier, so I decided to leave Unity Temple Meditations and focus more on this group and my own practice. I do continue to host group guided meditations here once a week on Meetup every Wednesday morning. They're always free to attend. I welcome you to find that on the calendar and to join us at our next guided meditation. But what I was finding in my own practice and in leading others, I was finding that there are so many questions in the spiritual community about meditation. And also I want to mention, as I am expanding my own practice, I myself am looking for meditation leaders to step in and help out on my Wednesday mornings. So I thought this would be the perfect opportunity to combine a discussion, talking and teaching about the basics of meditation, and also to prepare people to lead meditation so that if they want it, they could step up and apply to lead meditations here for me. So I'm kind of combining both of those aspects into today's training to be a meditation leader. So the first thing I want to do is just give you a general outline of what we're going to go over today. So today's training agenda, we're going to talk about what is meditation, which we touched on briefly in the beginning. What are the benefits of meditation? The different types of meditation, how to lead others in meditation. And I'll give you an example of a basic meta meditation. We'll talk about all of that later. So we opened up with talking about what meditation is. It's a pause. I just want to review that real quickly before, as we get started here. So the most effective form of meditation allows your mind, your body, and your spirit, or your energy, to all simultaneously pause. This quote here truly shifted how I viewed and perceived meditation. This is a quote that I learned during my own training to be a meditation leader. One conscious breath in and out is a meditation, and that is by Eckhart Tolle. This quote helped me realize that I was way overthinking and complicating my meditation and my meditation practice. It also made me realize that meditation didn't have to look a specific way. It was really up to me to decide what meditation meant for me personally. Now, if you're able to see meditation as an intentional action, a simple conscious action that you can do anytime, anywhere, then you can really start to more fully reap the benefits of meditation. You can personalize your meditation practices to suit you and what you need in the particular moment. Meditation can take place in seconds, in the seconds it takes you to take a conscious breath, or it can last much longer, as long as it pleases you. It can help you also reach altered states of consciousness. And those altered states of consciousness is usually what media and some spiritual practitioners refer to as the goal of meditation. I strongly disagree. It's not the goal. It is definitely attainable as a result of meditation, but the goal is always the pause. the pause. And you will hear me repeat that multiple times throughout our time together today. So let me state real quickly here at the top, if questions come up during our discussion, during the presentation, feel free to put those questions over in chat. I'll open that up now. It's already open, great. And I will get to them as time permits. There will be several times throughout today's presentation where I will pause and allow you to ask questions. So don't fret. We're gonna make sure everybody digs in and fully understands and brings your question. Any questions you brought with you today will be answered. So let's begin by we've talked about what meditation is. Remember, the pause and then the benefits of meditation are two completely separate. So now we're going to talk about the benefits of meditation. I'm going to share with you two different areas of benefits. The first is the one that most of us are focused on, and that are the spiritual benefits of meditation. The benefits that will help us on our spiritual path, on our spiritual journey. And then the second one are physical. And the second is important. The physical benefits, as I'm going to discuss them today, is like the science of meditation, how your brain reacts on meditation. This is your brain on meditation, I like to call it. We'll talk about the physical brain reactions and shifts that take place when meditating. So first, let's start with the spiritual benefits. The spiritual benefits are mindfulness, equanimity, resilience, and expansion. As I talk about the four benefits, first I want you to realize that there are far more than just four benefits. I've chosen four for the purpose of this presentation. And also, again, I want to state that meditation is the pause. These are the great benefits that come as a result of taking that pause. Now, just because you might not experience these, the mindfulness, the equanimity, the expansion, if you don't experience one or any of these, it does not mean that you are not meditating, because again, the meditation is just the pause. You can easily achieve meditation without necessarily reaping the benefits of the meditation. So when you hear people talking about meditation and how you need to reach a meditative state, I feel like that term is a bit misleading, meditative state. And I use that term myself, so I apologize if I have misled the masses by saying meditative state. What is actually more accurate, instead of referring to it as a meditative state, is referring to it as a mindfulness state, or a relaxed state, or a connected state, or a whatever fill in the blank state. Meditation is the tool that leads you to the state of mind that you're attempting to achieve. But it does not mean that you aren't meditating just because you might not reach those states or those states of consciousness. So if you can remember going forward to separate meditation, the pause, from the benefits of meditation, it will greatly improve your meditation practice, and you will find that you are probably meditating a lot more than you have allowed yourself to realize. Okay, let's talk about mindfulness first. Now, this state of mindfulness, one moment. Of course, my notes are out of order, because why would they be in order, Valerie? Might just have to wing it. Mindfulness emphasizes the ability to remain consciously aware of what is happening in the field of experience in the present moment. Just a moment here. Okay, mindfulness is a higher level of awareness of the present moment's experience. It's being aware, fully aware of the present moment. This full awareness also, probably most importantly, includes awareness of how you are acting and or reacting in the present moment. So this can include actions that you're taking, like an emotional it can include actions that you're taking and emotional reactions that you are having to the situation at hand or to the present moment. Being mindful does not mean that you are detached. For example, many of us have experienced driving the same route so often that we almost do it on autopilot. I remember often taking the same route home from work, and I would get home and I'd be like, did I stop at that last red light at the corner? Did that restaurant that I like, was it even open when I passed by it? Like, I don't know how I even made it home safely some days. But if we were being mindful, if I had been fully present as I was participating in the activity of driving home, I would be observing the time of day. I would be aware of how my car responds to me. I would be aware of the speed I'm traveling, my surroundings, the weather, the other cars on the road. I would be fully present in the moment. I would also be aware of how I might be feeling. Am I tired? Am I anxious? Am I excited? What thoughts I was having as I drove home. Fully aware of my trip and everything that comprised that trip. So mindfulness is a heightened state of awareness, being fully immersed in the present moment. Meditation can help us achieve this state of mindfulness by interrupting those rote tasks, those things that we can do with our eyes closed. By interrupting them, allowing for mindfulness to come in. If you've done a task so often that you say to yourself, I could do this in my sleep, consider taking a pause before starting that task the next time. Setting your intention that you will savor every detail, every emotion, and stay fully physically and mentally present and focused on the task at hand. That pause before participating in an activity that you could do time and time again with your eyes closed, by pausing and setting your intention that you want to be more mindful, that allows you to offer to welcome in that mindfulness practice. So more accurately, instead of calling it a mindfulness meditation, it's the meditation that comes first, the pause, and that facilitates a more mindful practice. All right, the next benefit is equanimity. Now, equanimity is a higher state of emotional intelligence. It is the ability to allow your emotions to be present, but to not dictate your actions, reactions, perceptions, or judgments. So equanimity, I like to explain equanimity as an even-mindedness or a neutral state towards all of the experiences or the observations of the world around you. This state takes a lot of practice and is often hard to obtain and maintain. But the good news is staying in this state is not the goal. And that is not what I'm teaching. I believe that oftentimes our life puts us in situations where it would be most beneficial to reach this state of equanimity as a way of trying to overcome challenges or dealing with a situation. I do not propose trying to maintain this state always. You know, to each their own, if that's your practice, if that's your goal. But I enjoy, and I believe I came here and incarnated in human form to have those emotional reactions, to let myself be led by emotion at times. You can think of that like when you're in love. When for me, when a new grandchild comes into the world and I just love those sweet cheeks so much that I just want to kiss them so much, that's myself allowing myself to be led by emotion in a positive way. So equanimity is not the goal. We're not meant to function throughout our day-to-day lives in a state of equanimity. Another way to think of equanimity is Spock from Star Trek, or at least what the Vulcan race attempted to achieve, a state where their emotions were present, but they had no bearing on the decisions or the actions that they took. Equanimity is also stepping outside of our own personal biases and predispositions. It's being non-judgmental about what's present for us. It's having an equal attitude towards all beings in all situations. Equanimity as a state of consciousness is often very fleeting for beginning meditators or even for some experienced meditators. It can be short-lived. So again, I want to emphasize that achieving this level of peace is not meant to be where you stay at all times. It's meant to be used as a tool when necessary. When would it be necessary to use that tool, Valerie? I'm so glad you asked. So perhaps you are being called to mediate on a situation. Your friends are arguing and they want your opinion. Well, if you want to give them an unbiased approach, an unbiased, non-emotional approach to help them mediate the situation, it might do you good to meditate and reach a state of equanimity and then make your decision or your comments from that state. For myself, I often find myself reaching for this state of consciousness when I need to see things from the vantage point of spirit. So spirit does not have an emotional attachment to our journey or to our path, other than joy, always joy. Spirit just resides in an energy of all the time pure joy. So when I'm down here in my human form and I cannot make sense of what's going on in my life and why it's happening, I will try to allow the equanimity of spirit to join with my own energy to give me insight on what's truly going on. You'll often hear me talk about this by referring to this as, I want to figure out what spirit has to say on this, or I want to see these things as just an experience, not good or not bad. That's what equanimity is, when you can unbiasedly look at what's going on, what the situation is in front of you. Equanimity is the set point of spirit or the divine. It's a little bit more difficult for us humans in human form, though, to achieve that. All right, next up is resilience. Now, resilience is the process and outcome of successfully adapting to difficult or challenging life experiences, especially through mental, emotional, and behavioral flexibility and adjustment to external and internal demands. That is from the American Psychological Association. That's a fucking mouthful, and I don't expect you to write all that down or to remember any of it. Basically, what it boils down to is the key phrase, successfully adapting to difficult or challenging life experiences. That's what resilience is as a benefit of meditation. It actually could be considered a tandem or a secondary benefit, really, because usually you have to pass through either mindfulness or equanimity in order, as a primary benefit, in order to gain the perspectives that will allow you the resilience that will allow you to adapt to life's challenges or life's situations. But it is such an important benefit, resilience, even if you have to go through another primary benefit first to reach this resilience, it's so important to our human path here that it deserves a mention as one of the benefits. I mean, honestly, it's one of the main things that we all go into meditation or pray for when we say things like, please help me deal with this situation, or please give me clarity about this matter, or I need answers and I need them now. That's me. These supplications are all about helping guide us, though, helping us find an easier path or the right action to take so that we can surmount the challenges or surmount the obstacles in our life, so that we can be resilient, so that we can adapt. And then the last benefit of meditation is expansion. And expansion can really be hard to quantify in a group setting like this. It's hard to point to just one thing and say that's expansion, because expansion is different for every individual. Here, I'm talking about growth. Expansion is listed as a benefit because it's like the sum or the culmination of all of the other benefits all rolled up together. It's the enlargement, the broadening, or the development of something, where the something is you, your path, or your consciousness. Expansion is being your authentic self. It's allowing yourself to fully recognize and claim your spiritual gifts. It's self-love in its highest form. It's new, it's innovative ideas. It's living in a way of connectedness and acknowledgement of our divinity. And it's living more fully in every moment. It's reaching those higher frequencies and also visiting other dimensions. Expansion is what we all came here for. We can experience expansion of consciousness and expansion in our own personal worlds through the practice of meditation. So those are 4 pretty awesome spiritual benefits. I want to briefly talk about the physical benefits of meditation and the effect it has on our physical body, specifically our brain. So the physical benefits of meditation, or this is your brain on meditation, as I like to call it. First, we're going to talk about how the brain responds to meditation. We know that researchers have been studying the effects of meditation on the brain for a very long time. So we have a substantial amount of data to back up these findings. We know that this meditation does have an actual physical effect on our brains. So we're going to talk about the areas of the brains that are affected and also about different brainwave activity. Now, brain waves are produced when neurons in your brain communicate with each other through electromagnetic currents or sparks. They are synchronized electrical pulses, just to give you a basic brain waves. There are different types of brain waves that are produced when you have thoughts, when you have emotions, when you're performing some specific activity or behavior. The slower brain waves make you feel tired and slow, whereas the brain waves of higher frequency obviously make you feel more alert and more active. Why would this be so important? I'm sure you can figure this out, because meditation can help us change the frequency of our brain waves, thereby giving us the ability to change how we are feeling and how we might react to the stimulus around us. So giving us a way to approach our life differently. Okay, so first, again, let's start with the areas of the brain that are going to be affected by meditation. This has been studied and proven. The first one is the frontal lobe. The frontal lobe is responsible for planning and reasoning. And this frontal lobe generally switches off during meditation. So even though it switches off, that is a benefit of meditation, because you might be trying to intentionally switch that portion of your brain off so that you can experience calm or relaxation, so that you can detach from the situation. The thalamus is also affected by meditation, and the thalamus relays our motor and sensory signals to the cerebral cortex. And what that means is the thalamus is responsible for how we react. And usually we receive stimulus through motor function or sensory signals, and then the thalamus is responsible for taking those reactions, those signals, and interpreting them. So again, meditation slows down this activity in the thalamus, which again enables us to keep calm. Even if those signals are firing off, if we can meditate in the moment, pause in the moment, we can slow those signals down so we're not so overactive or overloaded by sensory input. The parietal lobe gives us a sense of time. Parietal lobe is responsible for observing what's around us and translating it into time. It's how we know what came first, what comes last. It's how we order our world through the parietal lobe. If this slows down, this helps us to lower our stress and anxiety levels, slowing down time, slowing down our internal clock, so we have time to cope and deal and relax and have less anxiety about things. And then last, the reticular lobe. This is the area that keeps your brain alert and helps you respond to situations. During meditation, the reticular activity slows down again, allowing you to keep calm and peaceful again. So we know that these areas of the brain, they've been studied, hooked up to monitors. We can actually slow down the activity in these areas of our brain, which will lead us to a more relaxed, calm approach to life or to the situation at hand. So those are the areas of the brain that are affected. I want to get a little bit more specific and talk about the brain activity in those areas, the brain waves, and their different states during meditation. Now, there are 5 widely recognized brain waves, and they are alpha, beta, theta, gamma, and delta. Beta activates when the mind is engaged in a task like driving or doing the laundry, and gamma activates when there is intense focus and extreme concentration. So we'll take those two out because those don't really apply to meditative practices. We don't want an increased concentration or focus or to be engaged in a task. We don't want to activate those waves during meditation. So we'll focus on alpha, theta, and delta. I hope you're all still with me. Let me go back. Move too fast. All right, so the alpha waves. Alpha waves are the most common brain waves that occur at the beginning of the meditation. So this is when you're just starting to focus in, when you're just starting to relax and get into a deeper state of mind. That's when alpha is most active. They calm the nervous system and they lower blood pressure and heart rate. So they also lower the production of stress hormones and promote relaxation. So alpha waves are usually what's firing off when you first start your meditation. Theta waves are often associated with the third eye as they help us to tap into our wisdom. Theta during meditation is where we stay predominantly in most meditations. Theta waves provide positive mental state and encourage creativity. They improve cognitive functions like problem solving and memory. And these waves also improve your focus and keep you calm and balanced. They're associated with a relaxed state of mind. Again, theta is where we most commonly see increases when we are meditating. Any form of meditation most commonly activates theta. However, I do want to talk about delta just a bit. Delta waves are high amplitude brain waves. These brain waves are almost exclusively related to sleep. When we talk about delta waves in relation to meditation, it's more accurate to call them delta-like waves, delta-like states of activity. So you might hear people say, oh, I meditated and I reached delta waves, or I activated my delta waves. That's really hard to do if you're still awake during your meditation, because again, delta waves most often activate in deep sleep. I'm not saying it's impossible. With a lot of practice, you can absolutely do that. But most often they're entering into a delta-like state, something that's not quite theta, but not quite delta. A type of meditation where you might be able to experience delta-like state is a very deep transcendental meditation where your awareness is fully detached. Delta has also been described as the realm of your unconscious mind and the gateway to the universal mind and the collective unconsciousness, where the information received during the delta brainwave activity is otherwise unavailable at the conscious level. So it's tapping into those bigger, wider, deeper forms of consciousness, specifically the unconscious, tapping into the collective unconscious. So like I said, you can reach that area. So oftentimes in meditation, not oftentimes, sometimes in meditation with a lot of practice. Now, again, I want to remind you one last time, I've said it a couple of times, that most often we stay in the delta state. Most often, the brainwaves that we activate or that we'll be working with are the theta, I'm sorry, not delta, are the theta brainwaves. I misspoke there. Theta is where we most often stay when we think about meditation. Okay, so pretty much what we've discussed so far sums up the meditation one-on-one, the basics of why we meditate, what meditation is, what happens in meditation, how it physically affects us, how it might affect the different meditative states that we're attempting to achieve. Before I move on, I've done a lot of talking. I don't want to bore y'all to death. Before I move on, I want to open this up and have a little brief question and answer here over the material that I've presented so far. So do we have any questions about what I have presented so far? Keep in mind, we'll have a general question and answer at the end. And I'll give it just a moment, give you a chance to stretch, move around before we switch gears and talk about the more practical spiritual applications of meditation. If you have a question, feel free to put it in the chat or you can raise your hand visibly. I have Jamie looking for me. All right. Are we seeing anything there, Jamie? Nope. Okay. Okay. Good to go. Let's move on. I hope y'all are interested. I'm not boring y'all yet, am I? Give me some thumbs up or put something over there in the chat. All right. Okay, let's go. Let's move on. Okay, so next we're going to talk about the different types of meditation. That's me, y'all. That's a self-portrait. No, it's not. I'm kidding. Not a self-portrait, but she does kind of look like me with the ponytail. Okay, the different types of meditation. Now, the types of meditation that we're going to talk about, when I say types of meditation, what I'm referring to is how the meditation is facilitated, meaning in what manner is the pause achieved, and in what manner is the pause achieved, and or the state of consciousness one is hoping to reach through the gateway of meditation. So if I were to say a type of meditation is a potato meditation, you could accurately assume that either a potato is going to be used to facilitate the meditation, holding a potato, eating a potato, or that you are trying to reach a state of potato, whatever that means. If anyone does a potato meditation after this, please invite me because I definitely want to be there. So as you can imagine, the types of meditation are infinite. It's so broad that every individual and their ability to imagine, that's how many different meditations there are. But we, of course, don't have time to go through all of those types of meditation. So we're going to focus on just 4 different types of meditation. We're going to talk about silent meditation. No, 3 or 4? 3. Silent meditation, active meditation, and guided meditation. Silent meditation is pretty much exactly what it sounds like. Meditators will sit in silence for the majority of the meditation. Usually these types of meditations have an opening signal, a bell, a chime, a singing bowl, but seldom, if any, spoken words. And then they're closed out in the very same way with a signal of some sort. So sitting in silence allows the participants to experience whatever they need or want to experience during the meditation. You would set your own intentions or set no intentions at all and truly experience the pause in all its glory, just silent. An active meditations are excellent starting points for beginners, and I highly recommend them. Even experienced meditators will enjoy an active meditation. Active meditations, as the name would imply, include some form of physical activity. The pause is achieved by distracting one form of active meditation. The pause is achieved by distracting your physical body in such a way that it frees your mind to allow your mind and your mental activity to experience a pause. An example of this would be a walking meditation, where your body is physically engaged in walking, so your mind can wander. Walking meditations take place in a safe space. So there's a little bit of constructs. It's not just any kind of walking, but these walking meditations need to take place in a safe space so that you're not focused on getting lost or stumbling on your path or getting hit by a car. You want to be in a peaceful and a safe area where your body and your thinking mind can be engaged in the walking in a stress-free way. And that allows your spiritual body or your energy the time to be free, to take some time off and to pause. Another form of active meditation would be coloring in a coloring book, which is one of my favorite ways, or arting, as I like to call it. The activity of coloring is so pleasurable that you're able to relax into it, and that increases your alpha waves and puts you into allowing those more mindful or relaxed states to enter in. Active meditations are often ways of creating an active pause to your routine. So we talked about allowing your body to be distracted so that your mind can go somewhere else. But there are also active types of meditation where you're not trying to free your mind. What you're trying to do is add a pause in your routine, just in a big general overall way. And what that looks like is you might feel like you're in a rut, or you're repeating the same habits, you're doing the same things over and over again. You need a break. Incorporating an active meditation gives you that break. It gives you that pause from your normal day-to-day routine. So that can be achieved in a lot of ways. It doesn't necessarily mean that your mind is going somewhere. You could just decide that today I'm going to be very active and purposeful, and I'm going to take a different way home from work so that I do not get stuck in the rut, so that my mind is present. So active and mindfulness benefits can go hand in hand, because you're allowing yourself to break the routine so that your mind is challenged in new or more exciting ways. Okay, so I've talked about silent and active. Next up, I'm going to talk about guided meditation. Now, I would say that guided meditations are my favorite, with active meditations being a close second. Guided meditations were far easier for me when I first started meditating. They were easier to follow, easier for me to claim that, hey, I meditated. Especially if you're a beginner and you're not quite sure what you're doing or what you're trying to achieve during meditation, I would highly recommend a guided meditation, because guided meditations will generally open and end with spoken word, with instructions or guidance. There are often periods of silence within the meditation. In fact, I strongly encourage incorporating those moments of silence, even if you're giving a guided meditation. As I always say, the magic happens in the silence, in the pause. Guided meditations are great for a couple of reasons. First, because a lot of us, myself included, need to be walked down a path that allows us those deeper pauses. Having someone guide me in slowing down, letting my body relax, and settling in has been very beneficial to my meditation practice. Also, having someone help set the energy and say the words that will promote the desired effect to stay connected. Let me back up. Having someone set the energy and set the pace and say the words that will promote the desired effect. So if I'm trying to connect with my spirit guides and I don't know how to do that on my own, I can listen to a guided meditation and have someone walk me through that process of calming down, relaxing, introducing me to my spirit guides. Or another one might be healing my body or visiting other timelines. Following guided meditation is like a step-by-step instruction manual that will guide you through every step, every phase of the meditation. So those guided meditations can lead you to stillness. If you're wanting to reach a specific state of consciousness that maybe you have difficulty reaching or you've never reached before, again, guided meditation might be a key for you, because it's beneficial to listen to someone who has reached those states before, teach you how to reach those states for yourself. Okay, the only other thing I wanted to mention is that guided meditation, generally speaking, guided meditations have a specific intention or a specific outcome is desired when you go into a guided meditation. Specific altered state of consciousness is what you're trying to reach. So those are the three types that we'll focus on today. And next we'll talk about how to lead a meditation in each of those types. So we're going to get into the leadership training portion of it, where we talk about how to break down the different types and how to lead, and what these different types how these different types might benefit you more once you can see the structure of the individual types. So, leading others in meditation. What I'm going to be sharing during this portion is going to be best practices. These are things that I do myself or things that I've picked up from other spiritual practitioners. These are tips that I've learned along the way. These are not the only way to lead meditations. So use these tips and suggestions as building blocks to make your meditations personal and personalize them to your own style. Okay, meditations have three main parts: the opening, the body of the meditation, and the closing. These three components will vary depending on the type of meditation, whether it's silent, active, or guided. Those are the three types we're talking about today. So let's talk about how you would open a meditation. Opening a meditation, if it is a silent meditation, with the silent meditation, your opening is most often just a signal to indicate that the meditation has begun. Silent meditations are not meant to be guided in any way. So you want to keep speaking to a minimum, if at all. I have attended some silent meditations where there's absolutely no speaking. So depending on the situation, you might also want to indicate the length of time that will be spent in silence so that the participants know what to expect, especially if you have a lot of beginners or first timers to silent meditations. So the most you would say in opening a meditation, the absolute most would be just a couple of simple statements that might go something like this. Thank you for joining us for this silent meditation. This silent meditation will last approximately 15 minutes. We will begin our meditation when you hear the bell, and our meditation will conclude when you hear the bell again. And that's pretty much all you need to say. Go ahead and chime your bell and begin. So that's how you would open a silent meditation. Now, I will say something about the signal that you give your participants. You want your signal to be something calm and not jarring, because you're going to be using that same signal to bring them back to awareness. And you don't want to scare the shit out of them after they've been sitting in silent meditation for quite some time. So a loud gong or an air horn, of course, would not be appropriate. A soft bell or a singing bowl are really good signals. You could also use no sound signals at all and dim the lights to indicate when it's going to begin, and then raise the lights again to indicate when it's going to complete, or when it is completed. There are silent meditations, and this is kind of a variant of a silent meditation, not a true silent meditation, but it's often thought of as still a silent meditation when meditation music is played in the background, where you're sitting in silence, but you just hear the soft tones of the music. So if that is the case, you can obviously use the music as the key to begin and start. When the music comes on, that's when your meditation starts. When the music goes off, that's the signal for the meditation to be ended. So opening a meditation, just to recap, if it is a silent meditation, very little, if anything, needs to be said, and you would open the actual meditation portion of it with a signal of some sort. So let's move on to what it would look like to open an active meditation. Opening an active meditation would include intention setting at its core. It's the easiest way to put it. Active meditations can kind of go one of two ways. The activity could be to increase mindfulness and awareness, in which case it would be important to focus on the activity in a more mindful way. I'll talk a little bit about that later. Or, as we talked about previously, you could be participating in an active meditation to reach a state of peace or detachment, in which case the activity is used as a distraction for the thinking mind so that the spiritual mind can be freed. In either case, since the participants will be doing something actively during the meditation, you generally don't need to guide the activity itself. For instance, if your group is getting together for a walking meditation, you wouldn't want to guide them by telling them how to walk or which way to turn or left foot, right foot. You wouldn't want to be that intensive in guiding an active meditation. The activity part of the active meditation is mostly done in silence at the participant's own pace. So to open these types of meditations, you would want to gather the group before the activity and take some time to set intentions and expectations for the activity. An opening for, let's stick with the walking meditation, since I've been talking about walking meditations as active meditations. An opening for that might go something like this. Thank you all for gathering for our walking meditation today. This meditation will allow you to connect more deeply with nature. Let's begin by closing our eyes and taking a few deep breaths to relax. Inhale, exhale. Inhale, exhale. Next, open yourself up to connect with the divine. asking that we see what we need to see, and that we experience what we need to experience, and that we find a deeper connection to nature on our walk. Finally, I invite you to gently open your eyes, become aware of your surroundings, and let's begin our walk. So see how you guided the group. You let them know what they were going to experience. It was going to be a walk. You let them know the purpose of the walk, to connect deeper with nature. You helped them relax in the beginning by taking a few breaths to settle them in. And then you had them open their eyes and actually begin the body of the meditation, or the active portion of the meditation. Now, of course, you can tweak that in any way that you need, depending on the activity or the intent or the goal of the active meditation. If you're doing active meditations for mindfulness, however, it would vary just a little bit. So I talked earlier about the difference between the types of active meditations, one where you're absolutely present and mindful of the activity, and the other one where the activity is a means to distract your thinking mind. So when you're absolutely present and mindful of the activity, you would start that type of active meditation. Let's say you want to be more mindful about washing dishes. You want to take a routine task and turn it into a meditative practice, which I highly recommend, especially if something that you don't enjoy. Add it to your meditation practice. So doing that, starting an active meditation where you plan on being fully aware and present and mindful in the moment, to open that meditation, it might look something like this. And this will be something personal that you would do for yourself. So as you're standing at the sink, you take a moment to pause before beginning the activity of washing the dishes. You might close your eyes, take some deep breaths. You would mentally set the intention that you wish to experience and be fully present during this entire activity, and that will increase your mindfulness. So you might say something quietly to yourself: Spirit guides, let me find pleasure in the mundane. Let me see this task as an opportunity to be fully present in this moment. Let me notice and be aware of all the tiny miracles that this task holds. So a simple statement of intent can open up an active meditation of mindfulness. You've set your space, you've relaxed into the moment, you're present. Now, as you begin the activity, as you run the water, you're noticing the temperature of the water, you're noticing how it feels as it runs over your hands. You're more mindful in the active part of the presentation because you took that moment to pause first and set your intention about what you wanted to experience during the active meditation. Okay, so those are some ideas of how to open an active meditation. And finally, we're going to talk about how to open a guided meditation, which is the most common form, especially for those of you who are looking to lead others in meditation. Guided meditations. The goal of opening a guided meditation, just the opening portion, is to lead the participants into a relaxed state. So guided meditations are great because it's like this meditation comes with an instruction manual, like I mentioned before. We're going to start off by telling them to relax, how to start the meditation, what to do during the meditation, what to do after the meditation. Every step of the way, we're holding their hands. Well, except during the pause, but we let them pause on their own. But then as soon as they're done with the pause, we bring them back. We're holding their hands again. So beginning a guided meditation. And when I say guided meditations, we'll talk about a couple of different types of guided meditations. But a guided meditation, the one thing you want to focus on first for the opening, just for the opening portion, is to get them relaxed. So what I do in my own personal practice is I often try to relax their three aspects. I want to relax their body, their spirit, and their mind. And I set it that way because those are generally the order I like to work in. I leave the mind or the thoughts for last because those are easier to quiet and slow down after you've relaxed the body and the spirit, the body and the energy first. That's just my own personal preference. So in the beginning, So since the goal is to relax people, slowing down the breath and taking deeper breaths are known to signal the body on a physical basis to relax. So I personally almost always incorporate deep breaths at the beginning and the opening of my meditation, and you will hear several spiritual practitioners do the same, because we know our physical body responds to slower breaths. That is a signal to our brains, to our system, to relax more fully. So it's a great way to open a guided meditation is by having your participants breathe deeply to find that state of deeper relaxation. In the opening, you could also give instructions about what the participant should do if their mind should wander or if they become distracted during the meditation. And finally, depending on the type of meditation, you might want to let them know what to expect during the meditation, like what is the goal of this guided meditation. Openings for guided meditations are generally longer than the other two types because there's more of a setup. So an opening for a guided meditation, let's say we're doing a guided meditation to help someone help someone connect with their spirit guides. So that opening might sound a little bit like this. Today's meditation is going to help us connect with our spirit guides. Let's begin by gently closing our eyes and taking a deep breath together. Inhale deeply and slowly. We're going to focus on allowing our body to relax. Drop your shoulders, loosen your jaw. Really relax into this present moment. Now I'm speeding this up for the purposes of the presentation. Next, we're going to focus on allowing our energy to relax. Call all of your energy back to yourself. Allow yourself to focus on how you are feeling in this moment. Allow your energy to fully relax and be present. And now finally, we're going to let our mind relax. We're going to slow down our thoughts. We're going to become aware of our thoughts without thinking our thoughts. It's not necessary to quiet all of our thoughts. We can let them be present. We're just going to turn down the volume. Continue breathing deeply and relaxing slowly. If your mind should wander during this meditation, you can always gently bring your focus back to your breathing to get you recentered and reconnected with this meditation. So that's kind of a general overview of how you might want to phrase an opening to a guided meditation where you're leading them to connect with their spirit guides. Okay, and again, if I was leading that meditation in actual form, it would be much slower. We would spend a lot more time in actually relaxing, but that just gives you some general set points there. So next, we're going to talk about the body of the meditation. So we've opened our meditation up, and now we're actually in the meditation. Now with the first two types, silent and active, those are pretty simple. But the silent meditation, the body of the meditation is complete silence. We're just sitting in silence. With an active meditation, the body of the meditation is whatever activity is present, whether it's walking, painting, crocheting, whatever activity we're participating in would comprise the body of the meditation. And again, once you get them started in the activity, there's generally not a lot of instruction on what to do during the activity or how to complete it. So we will spend most of this time talking about how to organize and lead a guided meditation. Guided meditations are so varied. We've talked about that already. And even myself, even when I lead a guided meditation on the same topic, it will often vary from meditation to meditation. Even if I'm talking about self-love, the third time I talk about self-love, that meditation might look entirely different. So that's okay. They're varied, they're varied, they're varied. I don't want you to get too hung up on, oh my goodness, I didn't do this part correctly. It's fine. It's going to vary. It's going to be you're going to be able to lead them where you need to lead them without focusing so much on whether or not you did it right, if you keep these points in mind, the points that I'm going to share with you next. So I'm going to give you some basic bullet points as they relate specifically to the body of the meditation in a guided meditation. You will definitely be able to tweak these and match these to your specific guided meditation that you might be wishing to develop. So guided meditation. The first tip to building the body, you've already opened it, but building the body of your meditation is to start slow and gently build the momentum. This is especially important when you are leading a visualization meditation. And also always be sure to include a moment of silence within the body of the meditation. And then finally, you want to acknowledge the change, the shift, or the connection that was your focus when you began the meditation. So this often means helping them to acknowledge the change in their state of consciousness. For example, if the meditation is about meeting a dragon spirit animal, you don't want to open up. So you've already opened and now they're ready to meditate. They're fully relaxed. And the next thing out of your mouth is, and now you're face to face with a giant fire breathing dragon. That's not meditation. That is going to jar them. It's going to startle them. So we want to start slow and gently build the momentum to wherever it is you're trying to lead them to, which in this case would be meeting their dragon spirit animal. This is also true for other types of guided meditations that are not visualizations. So guided meditations can be and often are visualizations, but let's talk about if it's not a visualization. If it's not a visualization, it might be something like a, you're trying to shift a mindset, or you're trying to give them affirmations that's going to shift their energy or their auric field. So that's another type of guided meditation where they're not necessarily visualizing something, but you would let the momentum build slowly. So an example of that would be a guided meditation on self-love. So they're not going to be visualizing anything. You're trying to shift their perception or their energy around self-love. So you wouldn't start off with, love yourself, do it now. Obviously, that's not how we start a guided meditation. You want to start slow and gently build the momentum. You want to build up to that realization of self-love. So in short, what the body of a visualization meditation might look like. So we talked about, so I'm going to kind of step through each one of these, giving you the idea of the dragon meditation, which is an actual visualization, and the idea of a mindset meditation like self-love. So if you would start slow, gently build momentum, include a moment of silence, and then acknowledge the change. So a guided meditation about meeting your dragon spirit guide might start with, you've already opened it, but the body of it would be, you're in a garden, you're walking down a path. Many of you are familiar with this form of meditation. There's always a garden and a path that we need to walk down. Now you're generally and slowly starting to notice something, maybe something stirring off in the distance, something glowing. Now, slowly you're standing in front of this dragon. See how it was much more gentle and not jarring at all? That's kind of the general pace of how you would slowly build momentum. Now, again, talking about a guided meditation that does not include visualization, like the self-love meditation, you would begin the body of the meditation by helping them connect or start with a concept or belief that they already hold, or simply meeting them where they are in the present moment. And then slowly and gently build momentum and guide them towards that new idea, that new mindset, that new way of thinking. So again, using self-love as an example, the body of a guided meditation on self-love might look something like this. Place your hands over your heart. Continue to inhale through your nose and exhale through your mouth. Ask yourself, how does it feel to place my hands over this very tender area? How do I experience love for myself and others? Continue to let your breath become more smooth and effortless. Breathing in and out through your nose. Feel the flow of the air moving in your lungs and then back out into the world. With each exhale, imagine that you're releasing any negative thoughts that might be lingering in your mind about self-love. As you continue to focus on your breath, on the next inhale, think, I am worthy. And then slowly exhale. Inhale again and say to yourself, I am enough. And slowly exhale. And finally, take a deep breath in and say, I love myself. Let each inhale draw in self-love, and each exhale release what is no longer serving you. Take a few moments to breathe and recite this mantra internally. Notice how you feel as you say these words to yourself. I am worthy. I am enough. I love myself. I'll give you a few moments in silence to sit with these affirmations. So see how we started where they were with just a statement of worthiness and then a statement of being enough. And then we moved into the loving themselves. Now, obviously, this is a meditation that we would give to someone who is not currently in self-love. So we don't want to jump right into love yourself. We want to gently guide them to that mindset, to that realization, to that affirmation. And then again, you see how I incorporated that moment of silence, allowing them to sit with those affirmations, to sit with those thoughts, to allow that mindset to really take hold in that silence. So those are two different ways of guiding meditations, one with visualization and one with not so much visualizing, but just a mindset and energy shift. Okay. Lastly, before we leave the meditation, any meditation, we want to help them to acknowledge the change, the shift, or the connection that was the whole focus or the purpose of our meditation. So again, going back to the visualization where it's a dragon meditation, this is still within the body of the meditation. So once they've met their dragon and they've had their moment of silence with their dragon, we might say something which is going to help them, again, acknowledge the change or the shift. We might say something like, remember your dragon is always with you. You can call on this wisdom, strength, or energy whenever you need to. So just helping them acknowledge that they're now in a place where they can connect to the spirit animal when they want to, when they need to. That's a huge shift for a lot of people. And a lot of times we have to remind them that this is something that they can do on their own, that they don't need us to be present to find that connection. And that's the whole point of a guided meditation, to lead them to a place where they might have difficulty finding themselves, but where we as practitioners or leaders are able to get to. And so we're leading them to that place, but we're doing so in a way that we're training them how to get back to that place again on their own. So acknowledging that they are there, acknowledging the benefits that they're going to experience, the connection with their dragon guide in this instance, is really important part of guiding the meditation, the acknowledgement. And for the self-love one, for one that does not include visualization, one that's just a mindset shift, you might say something like, you've now moved into a deeper love for yourself. You will no longer allow yourself or others to treat you in a non-loving way. You are at a different vibration than when you began. Allow yourself to continue to welcome love into your experience. So just those gentle, soft reminders of this is why we did this. This is what you're experiencing. Something has shifted for you, connected for you. It's always good to acknowledge that during the body of the meditation. Okay, I've been talking a lot. Before we move on to how to close the meditations, I want to take a quick moment again to see if there's any questions over how to construct or what to put into the body of the meditation, especially as it relates to guided meditations, because I know a lot of you are trying to craft your own meditations or might need some help with scripting meditations. Are there any questions on how to build those scripts or where to go with those scripts? Or did I do an excellent job of covering the basic outline of how to build a meditation? Maybe I did. All right. Awesome. You guys are rock stars. All right. Well, moving right along. We might not be here 2 hours at all. Okay. Moving in to how to close a meditation. Okay, so oftentimes at the end of the body of meditation, oftentimes at the end of a meditation, the body of the meditation and the closing of the meditation will kind of seamlessly all blend together. And that is okay. That is fine. If you get into a meditation and you're scripting it and you're like, oh, wait a minute, I didn't separate the closing from the body, that's okay. Because if it's seamless, it's going to help the overall meditation flow better. It's going to help the meditator or the group that you're leading feel the continuity of the entire meditation. It all just comes together really nicely. There's a few things that you want to make sure that you cover, though, when closing a meditation, even if it kind of runs in and bleeds into the end of the body of the meditation. And so those things that you want to make sure that you touch on or that you bring up are you want to return your meditators, your group, back to their starting point. We'll talk about that a little bit more in a minute. You also want to slowly guide them back to a state of awareness. That's the second thing that you want to accomplish with the closing. And then the last one, which is not as obvious as you think, you want to clearly indicate that the meditation has ended. I have attended a lot of meditations where I'm kind of peeking with one eye open, trying to see if the meditation is over yet. Is it over? Are we good? And I am looking for cues from the other people. So you want to make sure that if you lead meditation, that you are clearly indicating when the meditation is over. And we'll talk about how we can accomplish these 3 points here. Okay, so the first, again, going back to our 3 types of meditations that we're reviewing today, the silent, the active, and the guided meditation. For closing a silent meditation, now when you opened, you should have already advised them what signal to expect at the closing of the meditation. And general practice, best practices would be you use the same signal at the beginning and at the end so that you don't confuse them, so that they've heard the signal, they know what it sounds like, they know what they're looking for, so that when you're ready to close, you're using that same signal, that same cue to let them know that it's over. So you've already set that up. You've already told them closing out a silent meditation is as simple as ringing the bell, using the singing bowl, turning the lights back up to indicate, because you've already told them what cue to expect that's going to indicate that it's over. In silent meditations, you generally do not want to speak to let them know that it's over. I'm going to say generally, I'm going to say at all. I'm going to say there's probably 0.1% of times when you would need to speak to end a silent meditation, because you want to leave them in silence. You want to start them in silence and end them in silence. So again, using a signal, the same signal you started with to end the meditation. It's pretty simple with closing a silent meditation. For an active meditation, for an active meditation and closing an active meditation, you might want to announce, depending on the activity, you might want to announce just prior to ending that your time is coming to a close and that you're going to end soon, and that they might want to take the last couple of minutes to wrap up whatever they're working on or whatever they're doing. This is absolutely something that I do when I do art projects where we're kind of in a meditative state. We're all working on our own art projects. If we're coming to the end of our time, I will gently speak into the practice or into the activity and say, hey, we're reaching the end of our time together today. So go ahead and wrap up any final things that you want to add to your piece of work or add to your project before we close out here in the next few moments. So something as gentle as that. Again, remember, we want to stay gentle because we've left them in this or led them to this altered state of consciousness. They're still in that state of consciousness. So the first thing we speak back into the meditation needs to be very gentle and very calming. Let's see. Closing an active meditation would also include, as I'm talking about, returning them back to their starting point as we're going through these these bullet points. Returning them back to their starting point would mean taking care of anything that needs to be done in the physical world. For example, if it was a yoga meditation, there might be a final stretch or a position that you might hold to bring the body back to full awareness. So you might always close with a specific pose if it's a yoga meditation. I'm just giving you examples. You want to return them back to where they started with you. If it's a walking meditation, at the end of the meditation, when they reach the end of the path or the end of their journey, if it's like a nature walk or something like that, you might want to be there to greet them at the end of the path. You might also have everyone gather together at the end of that activity and do a more formal closing out of the meditation. And that could just look like, hey, this meditation, this walking path meditation is going to last approximately 30 minutes. Feel free to take longer if that's what your heart desires. However, at 30 minutes, we're all going to meet over by the oak tree to close out our meditation. Something like that. You, of course, would need to let them know that at the beginning so they know what to expect at the end. Again, the beginning and the end are going to work hand in hand because you're going to set up the expectations so that they know what to expect and what to look for as you're wrapping it up, which kind of leads into the clearly indicating that the meditation has ended. If you let them know at the beginning how it's going to end, then they're looking for that cue, they're looking for that expectation, they're looking to meet you by the oak tree, whatever the case may be. So it does vary a little bit depending on if it's silent, active, or guided meditations. Okay, let's talk about the guided meditations though. Let's go in a little bit more to that. So with the visualization, we've got them, we've opened it up, we've relaxed them, we're in the body of the meditation, we've got them visualizing things, walking down paths, meeting dragon guides, whatnot. When we're ready to close, we need to visually return them back to their starting point. Helping them return to the starting point is visually walking them back to where they started. And by doing this, we also gently signal that the end of the meditation is approaching. So this might look something like, actually, let me get into the example. Let me talk about one more point, and I'll get into the example of what it might sound like closing out a visualization meditation. But so first we want to return them back to their starting point in the visualization. And then we want to slowly guide them back to a state of awareness. You can do this by asking them to take a breath at the completion, or to wiggle their toes and fingers and stretch, or to just gently become aware once again of where they are sitting in the room around them. And then finally, with a guided visualization meditation, you would want to clearly indicate that the meditation has ended. You don't want them wondering if they're still riding the dragon, if they're still in the woods. You don't want to just end it. You want them to know that it's over. So to give you an example of all three of those components, returning them back to their starting point, slowly guiding them back to a state of awareness, and clearly indicating that the meditation has ended. During a visualization meditation, I'm going to again use the idea of the dragon meeting your dragon spirit guide. And so the closing might go something like this. They've just come out of a period of silence, most likely, and you would say, now it's time to quietly say goodbye to your dragon. As you slowly step away from your dragon, you find yourself standing back on the path that led you here. You walk back to the garden, and in that peaceful garden, you take a moment to reflect on all you've learned. And here you can interject a briefer moment of silence. Now I'd like you to take a deep breath in one last time and let all this dragon energy fully integrate. Slowly start stretching, wiggling your toes and fingers, and slowly become aware of where you are seated in your physical surroundings. When you are ready, you can open your eyes. And this completes our meditation. So see, I've returned them back to the starting point by walking them back down the path and back to the garden. I've guided them back to a state of awareness by asking them to stretch, wiggle their toes and fingers, breathe more deeply. And I've clearly indicated that the meditation has ended by one, asking them to open their eyes, and by two, clearly stating that our meditation is over. This completes our meditation. So that's an excellent way to close out a meditation where you're not leaving anyone guessing and where you're bringing them back fully. It's very, very important, especially in the deeper energetic work or the deeper visualization, to bring them back to a full state of awareness. One, as a spiritual practitioner or as a guided meditation leader, you want to check in and make sure that they're okay. Oftentimes in these meditations, we might have some deep revelations, maybe a dearly beloved past, someone who has passed on has visited us, and maybe we have an emotional reaction to that. Maybe we got some insight on something that's been troubling us for a while. Maybe some form of resistance has broken loose. In a really good meditation, they are a changed individual when they come out of that meditation. So you don't want to just be like, okay, the meditation is over, bye. You want to gently guide them back. You want to make sure that they're fully back in their awareness, that they're not still drifting off having a conversation with grandma. And you want that to happen while they're in your present so that you can check in and make sure that they're okay. Are you okay to function and go back to your day-to-day life? Are you okay to function and go back to your job or to get through the rest of your day? That's what I consider one of the responsibilities of a meditation leader. No, you're not responsible for their path. If something unearthed and they're boohooing and crying about their grandmother, show them compassion, offer them where they can get help, but it is not your responsibility to sit there and hold their hand while they process all of that information. It's your responsibility to just make sure they're back and they're fully aware and that they have resources and places where they can reach out if they do need additional support. So I want to make that clear statement that if you are a spiritual practitioner and you feel okay with taking on that responsibility of helping them through whatever situation came up, feel free to do so. That's your own practice. But if your intention is just to lead people in meditation and that's it, and you don't have any further skills and you're not wanting to be their psychic or you're not wanting to be their life coach, then the purpose of guiding them back to their awareness is just so that you can check in and make sure that they are fully back with you, that they're not in some detached or altered state of consciousness, that they fully return, and then check in and see if they need any additional support that you do not have to supply, but it would be good if you can offer them resources. Do you need me to call someone for you if they're really in an altered state or very upset? Or, hey, maybe you want to get some extra rest or drink some water or take a nap, whatever it is that you feel is appropriate. But I cannot iterate it much. It's very, very important to close out the visualizations by making sure you have fully brought them back to their state of awareness. I think that's all I wanted to mention about closing out a meditation. I want to see if there's any questions. Doesn't look like it. Okay. So we've talked about the different types of meditation. We've talked about how to open a meditation, how to build the body of a meditation, and how to close a meditation. That is pretty much what I have for you as far as meditation one-on-one and how to lead a meditation, how to competently lead a meditation. Hopefully by putting together all of those different aspects, you can build your own scripts. You can adapt ones that are available out there on the internet, knowing that these are the set points or the basics that you need to build into every meditation. Again, one more time. Make sure your meditations have a pause in them, have a moment of silence. That's the whole point of a meditation, the pause, the silence. Okay, additional tips. These are some additional things, tips and tricks, ideas, things that might help you as you are building your meditation or as you are guiding others in your meditation. Let's see. The first thing I want to talk about, because most of us are, not most of us, some of you came here just to develop your own spiritual practice of meditation deeper and to get some ideas about it. But if you are thinking about leading others in a group meditation, then you need to know how to read the room. Read the room of the group. Even if you have a fully scripted meditation that you are sure is the best meditation ever, and it's about, let's say it's about self-love. And it's scripted to meet beautiful, loving, open-minded individuals. And you step into a room and the group that is facing you is a bunch of really angry people, you're going to need to adjust that meditation. You're going to probably want to spend a longer time in relaxing the group and getting them into a relaxed state. So your opening, which may have been scripted to last only 2 minutes, you're going to have to adjust that if you walk into a room full of really high tension people or people who are disturbed by something that just happened, and you're going to want to expand that. Slow down, take a little bit more time in getting them into a fully relaxed state. So you need to be able to read the room of the group that you are leading and adjust accordingly. The other thing you're going to want to do, another thing, let me go back. As we talk about adjusting accordingly, another thing that you might want to adjust is your verbiage. I often forget this because I generally deal with the same group, but many of you, guided meditators, leaders, are going to go into different group situations. Maybe you're doing a recording for a mindfulness practice at work. Maybe you step into a room that you think is full of spiritual practitioners, and instead you find that you're in a room full of Christians. Nothing against Christians, but I'm saying you're going to have to adjust your verbiage. Perhaps instead of talking about your higher self, you talk about the divine, or you use phrases like God, or vice versa. If you have a scripted meditation that uses words like divine or God or higher self, and you're working with a secular situation where you walk in and nobody is of religious or spiritually minded, and you're realizing, I'm going to have to adjust this to be more of a mindfulness practice than an actual higher self or connecting to the divine. So you're going to have to change your verbiage sometimes in different things to fit the crowd. Some excellent examples are higher self instead of God, higher self instead of divine, or vice versa. You know how to do it. If you're confused, a go-to is always type the word into Google and hit synonyms and see what else comes up, so that you can kind of switch out the verbiage to reach the group, to really connect with the group. So verbiage and the energy of the room, how much time you spend on each portion. Do you need to spend more time relaxing them? Just being able to read the room and get a good gauge of what needs to happen and how you need to adjust your meditation. Calm yourself first. Always calm yourself, because you need to be calm in order to lead them into a state of relaxation. In order to facilitate the pause, you need to be calm yourself first. Sometimes I will meditate before I meditate, which means sometimes I will do my own personal meditation before I step into a group to lead the group in meditation. Do whatever practice helps you. Clear your energy, clear your space, calm yourself first before you go to lead others. You don't want your energy, if it's erratic or chaotic, or if something happened just before the meditation, you don't want that energy spilling out into the room and spilling into those who have come to you for a meditation. So make sure your energy is intact and calm. Pace yourself. This is one that took me a long time, and I still struggle with on occasion. Pacing yourself, because oftentimes we want to rush to the good part. I'll use the example again of the dragon meditation. If your meditation is about meeting a dragon spirit animal, oftentimes that's like the juicy part. That's the part we want to get right in. We want everybody to meet their dragon spirit animal. And then we want to know all about their dragon. Was your dragon blue? Was it purple? What's going on? But you have to pace yourself so that they can actually get there with you. If you rush past the relaxation part, if you rush past the slow and gradual buildup of momentum, and if you go right into the dragon part, the meaty part of your meditation, a lot of times you will have left your meditators behind. They will not be following you energetically. They will not be following your words, your visualization, because you didn't take the time to slowly lead them to where you need them to go. So you really need to pace yourself. You really need to judge the room. Pay attention to the feel and the energy of the situation. Do you need to speed up a little? Do you need to slow down a little? Pacing yourself is very, very key, especially making sure that you have a very nice, calm meditation voice. Our meditation voice is often different than our speaking voice. As we went through the slides in the presentation, and as I was giving you examples of how to lead different meditations, I was definitely doing those mostly in my speaking voice. If I was doing them as an actual meditation, I slow my voice down, I lower and quiet my tone. Many of you are familiar with how to speak in a meditative voice. Practice that for yourself, pace yourself, so that you can come across as a very calm and competent leader. And then this is for visualization meditations. Develop good storytelling skills. Some of you need to go back to basics. Get out one of those primary kid books and just read through it. Read through it as if you were reading to a very young child. Read through it with the intonations that you want. Read through it with the excitement or the sadness that you want to convey. Make sure your voice evokes the emotions that you want to convey. And make sure that you are telling it in such a way that if a 3-year-old were sitting there listening to you, they could follow along with the story. So you need to develop good storytelling skills. And this is especially important if you are writing your own scripts for visualization. Make sure that your story is easy to follow. Easy to follow, because the brain is going to not be in an awake and aware and I'm listening to you and watching your lips state. Their eyes are going to be closed. They need to follow along with you visually. And so you need to make sure you have really good storytelling skills if you are working off of developing your own. If you're reading a script that someone else, then it's kind of up to them on how they've developed the story, and you might change it or switch it around. But if you're developing your own script, you want to make sure you have really good storytelling skills. Stories that are easy to follow. That's why I'm giving the example of speak as if you're speaking to a young child. Now you can use big words. You can use words like spirit guides or the ethers. You can use big words during the meditation, but you need to structure it in such a way that you're making sure that they're with you each step of the way as you tell this story, as you guide them in the visualization. So there's a lot of different ways you can practice storytelling skills. I would suggest getting one of those primary books, one of those children's books, and just seeing how they lay it out on a very basic level. How do they start the story? What's in the middle of the story? What's in the end of the story? Okay, let's see. The other thing I want to talk about as far as storytelling skills, and this came up for me. So many of you know I'm a tarot reader. That's one of my professions. I had a tarot guided meditation for the Fool. And for those of you that know the Fool card in tarot, it's a young person who is getting ready to step off the edge of a cliff. It was so difficult for me to lead a guided meditation where I had all of the meditators in the group simultaneously step off the edge of a cliff. That's not generally what you think of in a meditation. That's not very calming. But I had to do it in such a way because stepping off the edge of the cliff was an integral part of that meditation. So sometimes you will have situations or things or places that you want to lead them that involve a jarring, otherwise visualization. But you have to do it in such a way that it's not going to awaken them from the meditation. I was able to accomplish that with a lot of practice and a lot of rewording on how they did it. But there are situations that are going to very much involve you being aware of and making certain that you are not jarring them out of that relaxed state by your words or by what's happening in the story that you're telling. Let's see. The only other thing I want to talk about as far as storytelling is you want to allow for their imagination to step in and fill in the blanks. When you're telling a story or when you're leading them in visualization, you can say things like, you're standing in a garden. Notice what's around you. Do you hear any animals? What do the trees look like? Do you smell any flowers? You're letting their imagination fill in. They're going to hear the birds that they want to hear or no birds at all. They're going to see the trees they want to see. They're going to smell the flowers or see no flowers at all. But the key is letting their imagination step in and fill in the blanks. That's very key when you're doing a visualization meditation, because when their imagination is invited into the party, so to speak, they will benefit so much more. They will reach those deeper meditative states so much more easier than letting their imagination fill in the blanks. So you wouldn't want to say something like, you're standing in a garden. This garden is 100 square feet. See the trees. You have oak trees and redwoods. See the flowers. There are only purple flowers in your garden. That's too specific. And it's going to make their brain and what they consider a tree or a flower fight against what you are speaking into the meditation. And you don't want that war going on. So you want to, as much as possible, leave the specifics up to their meditation. Put them in a garden, but don't tell them what the garden looks like. If it's relevant that they see an oak tree, then you'll mention an oak tree. But if it's not, let them imagine whatever tree is present or whatever they need in order to make them feel comfortable and relaxed in the situation. Okay, I think, yes, control the environment when possible. I believe this is my last one. So when we're doing guided meditations, there are some things that are within your control. Perhaps you're able to adjust the temperature of the room so that you don't have a lot of sweaty meditators in the middle of summer. Perhaps you're able to control the lighting in the room. We talked about that earlier, how you can even use lighting as part of the meditation, turning it up or turning it down, the music, the volume in the room. Is the door open or closed in the room? So there's a lot of things that you can control when possible to facilitate a more calm environment for the meditators and for yourself. However, there are some things that are outside of our control. And when that happens, it's important to, I'm not going to say it's important to, when that happens, what I have found is key, is absolutely best, is to incorporate those things into the meditation. And I learned this during my training for leading meditation. It was actually kind of after my training. There was someone who, his name is Duke, and he's been doing meditation for decades. And he taught me this skill. And this is why he taught me this skill, because as I led meditations in the room that we were situated in Kansas City here locally, there was, I would face the room and all of the meditators were over there. Behind me at my back was a big stained glass window. And that window faced the street. And when I first started doing meditations in that location, that street was under construction. There was heavy banging, there was jackhammers, there was traffic. I mean, every noise imaginable was coming through that window and into our meditation. I couldn't control that part of the environment, but what I could do is very calmly, as I open the meditation, say, if anything distracting happens during this meditation, allow that to be part of the meditation. Allow your awareness to accept any sounds or any fluctuations in body temperature or room temperature as just part of the meditation. And if your mind wanders, you can gently bring it back to the meditation by focusing on your breathing. So you can make those distractions that you know are going to be there part of the meditation so that when they happen, they're not so jarring. A crying baby is an excellent example. So things like that, say you're in a meditation, everything is going great. You've already advised them that some distractions might be present. So now they're in the garden and they hear a jackhammer outside. And the first thing their brain is going to do is concentrate back on my breathing, because that's what my meditation leader told me to do when I get distracted. So you don't have to control it, but you need to give them some instructions on what to do when you know that there will most likely be distractions or things in the environment that you're unable to control. So that's a great tip that my meditation leader, Duke, gave me, and it has worked wonders. I had to use it over and over again until the construction on the street outside finally calmed down and finished. I think that is the last point. Yes. Okay. One last time before I move into what the meta loving kindness meditation is all about. Do we have any questions? I am loving this group. Y'all are just following right along. Good times, good times. Okay. So let me talk a little bit about metta, loving kindness meditation. One moment. Okay, this metta or loving kindness meditation is what I'll be leading us through in this last portion. So we're all going to actually, I'm not going to rush through it. I'm going to do an actual full meditation. We're all going to be able to participate in this meditation. And the reason why I'm doing this, it will be a shortened version of the metta meditation, shortened, but it will be still an actual meditation, is because I want you all to leave with a meditation, with a basic meditation that you can use right away, something that you can use in your own practice or something that you can use when you're leading others. And the reason why I like this metta meditation is mostly because of its simplicity, its general appeal. It's not too spiritual, it's not too secular, it's kind of right there in the middle. It doesn't get too deep into spirituality. It's more of a mindfulness meditation, and it's good. That makes it good for any type of group. So metta, M-E-T-T-A, the metta meditation is a type of Buddhist meditation. And the metta means, in layman's terms, it stands for it means positive energy and kindness towards others. So it's just a very general set point of something we all want to attain. And because that's what the word metta means, that's why it's often also called a loving kindness meditation. So you'll find it listed as both ways. If you do a search for metta meditations for your own practice, there are a ton of variations out there. None of them are wrong. They all follow the same premise. And the premise of a metta meditation is to allow yourself first. You're going to focus on yourself, on loving yourself, on showing loving kindness to yourself. Then you're going to extend that to let's see, who do we go to next? It's yourself first, then it's someone you love and care about. And then finally, it would be someone that you might find difficult in your situation. So it's also a way of working through forgiveness or working through situations that you might have about someone, a difficult situation. It's a great meditation. Let me see if there's anything else I want to say about this meditation before we get into it. Can't think of anything else. Are there any questions about metta or what we're going to get into or why we're using it? Okay, awesome. Okay, let's move on. Okay, so this is the actual meditation. Go ahead and get comfortable in your space. I encourage you to sit back. You can turn your camera off if that feels good for you. Close your eyes. I want you to allow your body to gently relax. Feel your body relaxing and supported by the surface beneath you. Slowly begin to connect to your breath, focusing on the inhale and the exhale, slowing your breathing pattern down. Inhaling even deeper now into your belly, allowing your chest to expand. Holding that breath at the top for just a moment. And gently exhaling. Dropping your shoulders, relaxing your jaw. Allowing yourself to fully relax into this present moment. Continue to focus on your breathing until your breath finds its own natural flow. If you become distracted at any time during this meditation, gently and softly bring your attention and your focus back to your breathing. Now I want you to slowly become aware of your heart area. See that space in the center of your chest. Slowly opening up and expanding. Allowing the energy of love to enter into your awareness. I want you to begin by offering loving kindness to yourself by mentally repeating these phrases. May I be safe. May I be healthy. May I be happy. May I be at ease. May I be filled with loving kindness. And may I be peaceful. Continue breathing slowly, relaxing a bit more. And next, I want you to call to mind someone that you care very much about. This can be a family member, a friend, even a pet. Picture them in your mind and offer them the same phrases of loving kindness. May you be safe. May you be healthy. May you be happy. May you be at ease. May you be filled with loving kindness. And may you be peaceful. Now, as you contemplate sending this loving kindness to this loved one, you may find your mind wandering with thoughts of them. That's okay. Just gently bring your focus back to the rhythm of your breathing. And next, I want you to call to mind a person or a situation that you might consider difficult. This could be someone you've had a disagreement or an argument with, or any sort of difficulty. If this feels too painful, just take a moment to once again send loving kindness to yourself. Now imagine this difficult person in your mind. Allow your heart to open and soften. And repeat these phrases again towards them. May all beings be safe. May they be healthy. May they be happy. May they be at ease. May they too be filled with loving kindness. May all beings be peaceful. Now, finally, I want you to notice any feelings that may have came up for you. Just notice them. Allow them to just be. Let those feelings come and go naturally without clinging to them or judging them. And don't judge yourself for having them. As you sit with these feelings, if there are any feelings that came up that don't feel good, that don't resonate with loving kindness, just gently let them go. Let them float and drift away. Your heart space is now open to receive more self-love, more loving kindness, and to appreciate more love and kindness in others. Allow yourself to open up to more love in this moment. Take a deep breath and allow yourself to fully let that love integrate. We'll give you just a few moments to call that love into your experience. You are now open to more love for yourself, more love for others, and more love for the collective. I want you to gently begin to become aware of your surroundings once more. Gently become aware of where you're seated, the room around you, sounds around you. You may want to begin to stretch, to wiggle your fingers, your toes, roll your neck as you come back to full awareness. When you are ready, you can open your eyes and return back to the room. And this completes our meditation. All right. Welcome back, everyone. So that is an example of a metta meditation. Again, you can see that you can tweak the framework of the meditation, adapt it to other forms of mindfulness by changing the affirmations or the statements. Of course, if you change those affirmations and statements, you're taking the construct and you're switching it into a different kind of meditation. That's perfectly okay. But I really like this as a good framework of building a meditation. And I like offering this as a way to repeat this meditation because it's a really easy one to facilitate and to accommodate in any group, like I mentioned before. So I hope you take this meditation as one that you can put in your back pocket and use going forward as you work on developing other meditations of your own. That is what I have as far as today's presentation. Let's see, I think I have one more screen. I'm going to pause and see if there's any questions left. But since we're nearing the end of the presentation, I want to go ahead and go over this last screen. So as I mentioned at the beginning, one of the reasons why I wanted to do this particular meditation event as more of a training is because I myself in my own practice am looking for people to step in and lead my Wednesday morning meditations. My Wednesday morning meditations happen every Wednesday at 9 a.m. Central Standard Time. I'm going to let you all convert that for your own time zones. They're about 45 minutes. The meditation itself does not last 45 minutes. So if you're new and you're thinking, oh my God, I can't lead people for 45 minutes, don't worry about that. First, we start off by talking a little bit. Then we have a meditation. Then after the meditation, we work on pulsing love out and raising the vibration of the planet, the planet. So the meditation itself can be anywhere from like 10 to 15 minutes. It's not the full 45 minutes. If you are interested or would like to step up as a meditation leader, kind of dip your toes in, get ready, see what it's like to lead a group, and maybe then go off and lead your own groups, I would love to invite you to send me an email to TyroneUnicornsCoffee@gmail.com. I think Jamie's going to drop that in the chat so you can copy that. There we go. So just send me an email saying that you attended my meditation leader training and that you're interested in being a meditation leader for my Wednesday mornings. I will tell you that I am collecting names at this time. Once I get a nice size list, I will reach out to everyone with next steps on what you might need to do in order to be a meditation leader for me for my Wednesday mornings. Of course, that would involve you actually attending a Wednesday morning. So it's twofold. I get you to attend a meditation as well. Just so that you can see how it flows. But I would definitely welcome you to apply if you would like to do that or if you're interested in doing that. And that is all I have for the presentation today. Jamie, I see there's a hand up.
Yeah, thanks, Valerie. This was awesome. It seems like other folks found a lot of great things with this too. So my question is about kind of what's the etiquette if you are using someone else's meditation, or is that even okay, or what to do about something like that? Does that make sense?
Excellent question. Yes. And I would start just by saying this meditation was inspired by, if it was inspired, if you took someone else's meditation and tweaked it and changed it, this meditation was inspired by, and give credit to the original person wherever you find it. Or you could simply say, this is a meditation that I found, and this meditation is by Emmanuel Cleaver. I don't know why I just said that. He's the mayor. He was the mayor of Kansas City. I don't know why that name came to mind, but you could, yeah, giving credit where credit is due. I personally, myself, if it's out there on the internet and if it's a meditation, it's meant to be shared. That's how I view it. Unless there is an actual disclaimer stamped on the meditation that says don't use this, which I don't know why people would do that. But if there is, I mean, you would know how to handle that. But in general, that's how I would say it. I would generally say this is inspired by, or this meditation is a meditation that so-and-so developed before you present it to the group.
Great, thank you. Looks
Haley.
like Haley. Yep, go ahead.
Oh, I think I have it. So there you go.
Hi.
Hi.
I was going to ask how to apply to be a meditation teacher with you.
Yay.
But you already answered that. So.
Awesome. I'm excited. Well, yes. Send me an email and just say that you were here and your name and how I can get back in touch with you. And I will follow up.
Okay, perfect. I do have one question though. I was wondering, as far as a walking meditation, would I need some sort of insurance or anything specific to lead that?
I am not a lawyer, so do not take my word for granted, but I have considered facilitating a walking meditation myself at a nature path. And I generally, it's my understanding that I'm just facilitating. I'm just gathering the group and telling them what time to meet. I'm leading them in the meditation. What they do on the path is up to them. And if they befall any type of injury or something, that's on them. That has nothing to do with me because I'm not walking or leading them through the activity, which is important to keep yourself safe. I would not walk or lead them through any type of physical activity. Just like if you were a yoga instructor, you're not going to touch their physical body. You're going to advise them, do your stretches, seek a medical professional before you engage in this type of activity. I'm not responsible for your health, you are, and then allow them to participate at their own risk. If it's something extreme, hand gliding meditation, I don't know, you might want to have them sign some kind of general disclaimer or waiver form before you all participate in the meditation. But generally something like a walking meditation, if you're worried about it, just state that up front.
Okay, good to know. Thank you.
You're welcome. All right. Anything else? Kitty.
This is wonderful. I've actually been recording meditations just to practice speaking a little bit more, if you will. So this is a wonderful opportunity. I was wondering if the recording for this would be available after the fact.
Absolutely. Yes.
Excellent.
Absolutely. You can email me at that same email, or I will send a link out to everyone who is RSVP'd on Tarot Unicorns and Coffee. Because I know some of you found me through Awkwardly Zen, and I don't know if I have the capability to email you through the Awkwardly Zen meetup, but if you are a member of Tarot Unicorns and Coffee, I can find the attendance list and email you through that. The easiest way though is just to shoot me an email at tarotunicornscoffee@gmail.com and ask for the recording, and then I can make sure that I get that to you directly.
Perfect. Thank you.
You're welcome. All right. Any other questions? Awesome. Well, this has been most lovely and wonderful. I have so enjoyed my time here. I know we went over a couple of minutes there at the end, 5 minutes. So I'm going to let you go. Again, thank you so much for being here, for participating, especially in the meditation purpose portion. One thing I did not mention is another benefit of group meditation is when you have all of those energies present and together in a group meditation, it definitely increases the energy of the meditation. It increases the feel-good benefits of the meditation by having more than one energy present and gathered together in a group. So thank you all so much. I hope you go out and lead great meditations or practice better meditation skills for yourself. Have a great rest of your day and rest of your weekend. And see you on Wednesday. Join me on Wednesday. All right. Bye, everyone.